everybody, I am APH for those of you joining for the first time, and welcome back to Timberborn. Welcome back, friends. Now, the beavers have been busy. We've raised up this section just a little bit, as well as we've closed up some of this right here. Now, I want to watch the water kind of progress, as this area right here is going to let in a lot more water than what we can kind of maintain through the aqueduct system. So I want to really watch this as we kind of go. Now, over here, they're still building over here, but we should be able to add some houses in, and we're going to start out kind of right away with buildings. So let's go ahead and drop our UI and let's plan out these houses. Now, the trees themselves, you can see that some of the trees are a little bit dried out and a little bit parched. They've got 14 days left on them before they actually are going to die, and I'm hoping that the water, as it's starting to flow, is going to help with that. So roughly, probably, if I had to guess, about halfway through this cycle, we'll be breaking this off into its own district. Let's do 6 row houses in total. So something kind of our standard, and we'll get those kind of building. Looks like I've got room to expand if need be, and we do want to place a drop off here for the future. So we're just going to go ahead and grab that really quick. My mind tells me it should be under storage, not under labor. So I'm a little confused as to why it's there, because to me it's stored. Maybe because the distribution center is in there. That might be the reason. Let's prioritize up these, and we're going to have to send planks over here just to kind of make this happen. I think once the lumber is up and going, I think that will be okay. We do want to raise up this quite a bit higher kind of going forward. Maybe we set this to, yeah, let's leave that at 1. I'm hoping that's high enough that we don't flood this. So I want to continue as we kind of get taller to maybe as we go 1 higher up, knock off 2 more of these. Eventually we're going to close off this side completely and just have water going here, and then for this side it's going to be driven by water dumps, but that's for later on, and they're kind of proceeding that way. This way I'm going to let them build the houses first, and then I'll break the path and kind of get this going. They haven't had a chance to build the monuments yet because there's not walkways up to it. That's probably a couple episodes away. They did get the house, or the roofs done, and they got the shrubs done, and we're up to 8 over here. Campfires and terraces, something we're going to have to add in. We could add the rooftop terrace now, and where we're going to add it is, I kind of had like a rough plan as to what I wanted to do here. We're going to go ahead and go back and place in our platforms, and we're going to place in 4 rooftop terraces here just to kind of bring this area together. We're going to make this a secondary high priority so they kind of get it going, and we'll grab that leisure and we'll drop those. I have some rough ideas where I want to place the campfires. We'll go over that when we get a little closer. I do want to consolidate the housing, and we've got 73 beavers over here. Let's pause one of these. So here's what I think is happening. I think as I'm increasing the luxuries, the well-being as it's called, I think that beavers are living longer, and I think that's really playing into this. Now over here, the section of wall, we're up to a solid 14. Taking a quick look, we have roughly 15 beavers that are not homed at the moment, and we have roughly the same amount that are unemployed. So we're going to try to control this section by controlling the population. So we're going to slow down 1 more of these, and hopefully that kind of gets us in a good spot. I do want another farm down here, and I'm thinking that we need it down here. And taking a quick look, we have berries, we have bread, and we have our grilled potatoes, which means we need a farm for carrots. I wouldn't have expected that. So we'll go ahead and get a farmhouse down here. That should give us room to connect it. I don't know that we need storage underneath it, so we'll do something like that. We'll get some carrots in here, and then I realized that some farms were configured wrong, so we're gonna have to make a quick stop off in the House of H shortly here. That should get this up to, well, if we're running the carousel, it would be up to 15. And we're probably going to get a chance to run the carousel here. I don't want to build more power over here as we don't have enough lumber production to get generators, but that would take 2 generators to power that, so I don't want to do that. And this area, I think this area is pretty well set for this episode. So we're just going to build those. We can probably get 2 more rooftop terraces right here just since we built this area for it. Yeah, let's do that. Let's close that up. Let's in our leisure, let's get 2 more rooftop terraces. I really hope that once the population of this area comes down a little, everything is maintained better. This is planting, so we're going to go ahead and set this to planting. Just works out better, and that brings brings us over here. So for this area, as soon as it decides to load, we're at a 14. Looks like a lot of things have kind of leveled out. Grilled potatoes is a little low, so I might have to take a look at that. Campfires and rooftop terraces is still a little low. We did build all of these campfires, and it's still a little low. I don't know where else I could go with campfires over here. Now I could get some more rooftop terraces. I would just have to finagle around with this. I could do that. I could most definitely bring this section up and place another one. I'm gonna let this area kind of be one more cycle to see if it goes up a little. The next thing on the list that we need over here, and it dropped to 13 really quick. I think that some of these are dropping a lot quicker than they should. So the next thing that we're going to need over here is the tribute, and the tribute itself, I do want to place it right in this area right here, and I've kind of got some ideas of how we're going to get it going, but for right now I'm just going to place the platform that it's going to be on. So we'll drop that right there. They should easily be able to build that. The other platform is still paused, as the other platform requires 500 metal versus the 200, so we'll let them build this one first, and then we'll kind of revisit the other one. The other one is going to be for a carousel, and it's so expensive that I want to wait until we get a little bit more metal banked up. I think this tribute here is going to be a little bit higher importance, and we do want to watch the water, like just like that. And since we've got some unemployed beefs, let's go ahead and unpause that. Let's unpause both of these to kind of get that production of paper kind of going, and we're just going to let them ride the carousel, and we'll take a look before the episode is done and see how that affects it. Look at all those campfires going. Yes, please. That brings us over to the House of 8, and why is beyond me. I could have swore I switched these to planting, but we're going to go ahead and set them to planting right now. It just works better. I cannot stress that enough. So they'll get kind of going. At some point in time, I think there's updates to the game, and I think things roll back. So I know there's been a couple of updates that have kind of made this kind of all happen. I forgot to connect all these. Well, that's a shame, because we're losing a ton of horsepower because of that. Let's I think I need that corner piece, so we'll kind of do like a zoom in. Let's make sure it's the right way before we kind of tuck that in there. I guess I have to lower this down in order to get that in there, so we'll just drop this down. I have a beaver sleeping on there, which is, again, we're going to try to fix that sleeping beaver issue. And for this one, again, I just want to configure it up here. That looks like it's configured the right way, so we'll drop those where they're needed. I should have kept the layer kind of set the way that it needed to be, because this one that's hidden right here, ooh, I can nab it. Do I need one there? Nope, that one's already connected. Then we just got to get our straight pipe, and let's try that again with straight pipe. So yeah, we should be able to connect that up. That should connect the row. Hopefully they build that relatively quickly. I am piping dynamite over to the House of H, but so I'm not sure why they're not doing that. Let's go ahead and unpause the carousel while it's early in the cycle, and that will kind of get us a little bit more of the need over here. If we take a look at our needs, again, campfire and rooftop terrace. The rooftop terrace is going to be simple because these two builders at some point in time are going to be replaced with rooftop terraces. Now the campfire is a little bit more difficult, and I got to thinking that maybe this area down here, at least one side, as they're not harvesting everything here, at least one side, we're going to go ahead and clear out the planting area. So I think I need 4 wide in total. So we'll just clear it out. We'll let them harvest. I think that these grow, and if they do, yeah, he's harvesting it right now, even though it's not marked. So they'll clear out this area, and then we'll drop some campfires in there. Yeah, that's beautiful. And that brings us over here. Pathways in, and before the red line was somewhere like around here where it cut off. And taking a quick look, it is a lot further now, which is very nice. Now we do want to, yes, they're producing weed over here. Yes, yes, yes. And we're ready to detonate that. I'm like a dog that sees squirrels. I'm like, shiny, and my mind just completely goes off. So we're gonna detonate that to bring that down, and we do want it to detonate all of this. Wow, words out of my mouth. Let's create a pathway up here to kind of make this happen, and then we're going to clear out the trees. I'm gonna let them kind of do their thing, and then I'll mark all the trees to be cleared off of camera. But we're gonna knock down this whole entire section. So this will probably be an area used for more farms or for things like our campfire in the future, as we apparently don't have enough of the campfire over here. So taking a quick look, we have 15 homeless, and once we drop down 15, it's going to take care of a lot of things. And then we just need to worry about the campfire, the rooftop terrace, and paper. And for the first of which, again, campfires we'll put down there in the future, but the rooftop terrace, we're going to go ahead and drop a couple of them right here. Come on, click. Thank you. We'll drop them there, drop them there. That will kind of bring that together, get a little bit more, which brings us to over here. For this, we're going to break our path to make sure that they don't do anything silly, and we're going to start our book production over here. So we're going to get our paper mill. We're going to go with 2, just like we have been doing. We're going to need a power connector to connect it to the actual storage that are going to be over here. So we're going to need some small warehouses, which is why we broke the connector, and we're going to need our pallet there. We're going to need a walkway here in the future after we place the book factory, but I want to see which way it kind of lines up first. So we're going to go ahead and go with the printing press, go with 1 and 2, and that kind of brings us to where we get our walkway up. And I'm just going to connect the path right now. That way, when I connect this path, it's all ready to go. Now for power, it's going to be really simple. And we just have to bring this over to here and then drop our, we'll put a T connector here just in case in the future we do extend this out a little bit further. And look at that. I'm thinking of the future here, guys. So yeah, we're going to let them kind of build this and kind of get going. I'm going to keep this paused. That way they can build this, as the paper mill itself takes 30, and that will kind of help with that. I also figured out that we're missing a distribution center over here, not a distribution center, a hauling post. So since we have 20 builders, I'm going to go ahead and knock out that one and place a hauler in its place. I do want to find a better spot for this in the future. Maybe over here once we finish this. I've been playing a lot of Factory Town, and in Factory Town you can hit the M button and you can move a building, and I keep trying to do that in here. That'd be an amazing function. That brings us kind of to over here where this area is doing its thing. They did a good job of knocking out all these trees. This area is kind of coming together. Again, it's only 45% and those are 90%, so they'll get going quick here. But for these, I want more farms, more than I want wood. So we're going to get rid of those flags. Hopefully there wasn't a lot of wood in there. I didn't pay attention. And we're going to get our our second farmhouse over here. So they should build this relatively quickly. And this is going to be for the production of potatoes. So we do want a storage underneath it to store the potatoes. So we're just going to go right there. We'll place our farm on top. It'll allow us to place a pathway down here. Then we'll configure up the storage kind of after. We're probably going to need a water drop off here in the future. So we'll just do something like that. Let them kind of build that up, and let's get our taters in here. And what we'll do is we'll just we'll start on this side, then we'll come down here. Yeah, look at that. And just like that, the base is built. We don't have any builders over here, so this might be a thing for the future that I might need to look at that. Let's go ahead and configure that and connect the roads as they just whipped that up. And that way they can get planting as soon as they're done. I did hire 4 people for the district, and Beaverly Hill got suggested for a name. So let's go ahead and name this Beaverly Hill. Just a absolute play on Beverly Hill. I think that was the way it was spelled in the message. Y. I'm missing a Y in there. EY. And then I'm going to do Hill, Hill, just in case. We'll go with something like that. It's Beaverly Hill. We do need our potato production over here. So we're going to go ahead and place 2 grills. And that will kind of wrap this area up. That will give us a little bit of storage as well. We might look for some storage underneath that at some point in time. But for right now, I just want them to build that. I did place a drop off over here, which is getting planks from Maple Grove, which brings us over to Maple Grove. I think at this point in time, other than a few oddball things that might be contributing, I think that it's fairly safe to assume that with the added platform, they're building faster. So matching this with over here, they would only be to this block if they were building at the same speed. So hands down, they're not 100% further, but they're probably around 60% further. And I'm noticing now that they hit this bend part. So when they were building this, they built these 2 at the same time, which gave them a little bit of a catch up. I'm thinking that now that they're to here, again, you can kind of of see it right here where they're building this row off of this, and they're building this one off of this. Is kind of how they're building. So you can see they're building 2 over here versus building 1. So I do think that that is kind of what's going on, and we have some flooded buildings. What do we have flooded down here? Why do we have oh, that's fine. What other flooded buildings do we have? This is flooding. Oh, good Lord. That is all flooded. Let's close this. We'll go to 1.5. Oh, man. I did not want that to flood. Fail. Absolute fail. The good news is we're producing power. The bad news is we need to build something over here to get rid of all this water. Let's start with a 2x2 that is bringing up to height, and we'll place a water pump here in the future just to kind of get rid of this water. I can't believe that's underwater. I saw it coming, which is why I left the water gates, the floodgates as closed as I did, and apparently that was not enough. That stopped it. So I needed at 1 in order to kind of make it come together. I guess what we're gonna have to do, let's delete out this section right here. Once those beavers go by, we'll delete out this section right here, and we'll replace them with levees in order to kind of hopefully take care of that, and then we'll reconnect our pathway there. That's like a terrible shame. They're almost done over here, and that's good. They are pretty well ready over here for us to break it off. I just want to wait until these are, and everything is now looking good now that the drought is kind of, you know, ended and we're in the wet cycle. So I do think that we'll need some sort of a a water drop off somewhere in there just to make it happen. I also think that we're going to knock down a good chunk of this hill, but that's for a later episode. Kind of a spoiler to the future, and that brings us back over here. Now they did get this up and going. Yes, please. Let's get a forester over here since they're doing so good at getting this pretty well rounded out. Let's go right there. That way we can just kind of connect our road to it. Did they build the grills already? They built one. They're working on the second one. And let's get maples in this area. Let's do this section right here for maples, and we're going to clear these 3 and these 2, and that will be our lumberjacks flags. I think I just cleared something I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, we'll clear that, and that will kind of give us our maples for the future. Be our lumber production. I don't know how much lumber this district's going to need, because the majority of what they're going to do is paper to make books and paper to make dynamite, and then we're going to move our paper production, our dynamite production, from down here to up there, and then we're going to move the rest of our paper production on this side in the future. But I want them to close this up first, one step at a time. I did get rid of the levees in this area, and I guess temporarily what we will do is place some levees there just to keep water from, you know, this area from getting drowned. And taking a look over here at our well-being, we're at a solid 13. It looks like campfires and rooftop terraces are again the lowest thing on the roster there. I think, don't quote me on this, I think them building this up here is part of the issue, as we are a good chunk into the night, and I just saw beavers running down. So I think what's happening is they're spending so much time building, they're not spending time relaxing. So I want to give them a little bit. Let's go ahead and unpause the carousel. Oh, I haven't connected it to power yet. Oh, dun. Let's do that. Apparently, fail, major fail there. I can't believe I just did that. Let's do something that looks, I believe, like this, and we're just going to do, I'm not sure if they can build this. I know that House of H can build it. Maybe what we'll do is we'll put a straight pipe there, because they'll be able to build that. We'll put our high power pass there. That'll bring us up to a 2 high, and then House of H would be able to build this row, and from there we would need a 2 high here, so we can go to a 3 high, and a 3 and a 3, and I feel like I'm missing something here. I am missing something. This right here needs to be a 2, because this needs to be the same height, because we'll do a high power pass here and then lead it up, and that brings us to this section, which would be the 3 high. Then it would be 3 and 3, then we'd go 1 and then 2, I believe. So it would be 3 and 3. That brings us up to just shy, and that would bring us up to a decent spot. You know what? Let's get rid of this one. So if we bent this in, we could replace that with a cross section. Let's go ahead and pause it for a second while we plan this out. So just to make sure that we don't waste any materials here. So we'd place that there. We would need a high power pass right here to get us up to here. And so we'd do something like that. And then we'd go high power pass, high power pass, high power pass, which would bring us to there. Again, we would replace this with an X connector, and we'd just put our bend here, and we would want to make this a high priority since we just broke our power connector. So we're just going to, yeah, mark all this up to be a high priority, let them build that, and we'll go ahead and unpause that for once that's all done, and then we'll get the carousel, you know, aesthetic over here. I'm liking where this is going. Not sure how much this is, now that we've got like, I think they built this section over here, by the way. So right now we're producing 4,000 horsepower, or once they get this reconnected, we'll revisit it and see what it's creating. I have a feeling that we're probably approaching the 10K mark is what I've got a feeling of. Not including this over here, as we still need to close up that, but that's not for this episode. So yeah, let's do, oh, they're building that fast enough. So we'll revisit that in just a moment here. Yeah, look at that. They connected it. We're up to 11,420 horsepower. That's insane. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, look at this. We've got our paper mills are going, our book factory's going. We're starting to actually produce books on kind of the go-to. And what does that bring us to down here? Still at a 13. Oh my gosh. Rooftop and fires went down. Rooftop terraces and campfire all went down. Ugh. I don't want to decrease the work hour days, but my brain is telling me that's what I have to do in order to make this happen. I don't think they're working on any major projects, which means that they just are dropping it that quickly. And if that's the case, there's a huge issue. Yeah, looking, I have no beavers sitting down here, and I see beavers running around still working, even though it's the middle of the night. I might be making my districts too big and too sprawling. I would have not thought that being a thing. On the plus side, they are all chilling at the rooftop terraces, all having one, and we did just see that this went up, so that is affecting it. For the roofs, let's do some work right here and see if we can get this up. And I think that part of the issue with roofs is I don't know the good solution for the monuments. In order to get the rooftop aesthetic, they now need to be underneath it for about 8 solid hours. And we only get 8 hours for them to do all of their needs and then go lay down. So the rooftop aesthetic is really broken at the moment in this state of the game. So we'll add that to see if, because this only covers the beavers that are sleeping on the one side. This will cover the other half of the beavers. We'll see if that kind of takes care of it. And yeah, we'll revisit it. So we were at 14 and now we're at 15. So that's good. Half of the beavers are visiting the carousel, and apparently they had a good night on the campfires and on the rooftop terraces. So we'll continue to kind of monitor that. I do want to start closing up these sections, and kind of a gripe about the game. By covering a section of water, evaporation would be little bit less, as long as the area above it wasn't heating the water, causing evaporation that way. I would like to see the game in a state where if you've covered the water like this, it slows down the evaporation. I love the game, so don't get me wrong here. I just think that it is a little bit closer to an early access game than it is to a prim and proper finished game. There's just some minor quirks with both factions that kind of drive me to that. This area is getting close to being done, and this area over here looks good. I think that, you know, we're gonna go ahead and skip ahead to the drought, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, so the drought just started. We have a 23-day drought, so we've got roughly 31-day cycles. We'll come back somewhere around day 15, and we'll kind of go from there. I'd like to thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you in the next episode.